we fail to understand sometime as a people is that while God is spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. But let's go ahead and acknowledge this truth. If something's going to get done here on earth, that same God has to convict the person to get the moving. If y'all don't understand what I'm saying. God is not going to stick his head out of the sky or swoop down a hand and do some justice. We're not going to see a magical hand come out of the sky and restructure the criminal justice system. That ain't how the Most High has ever done it. No, what he did was he went to his people. He raised up somebody who was brave enough to speak. And when he raised up this person who was brave enough to speak, he employed people to listen. Y'all remember Gideon got to that river and he had 30,000 people who said they was about that life. They said they were ready. But then when he got there, the Most High said, you got too many. And they started weeding it down and tearing it down till he got to a faithful 300. And we have to get to the point where we all have the heart of the faithful 300 because we know what we are. We are not living in a dream. This is a reality. And we're going to have to deal with the reality. Back to the text. In the text, Jesus says, you have a name that you living, but you really dead.
All right now.
Okay. When you're living, you can produce things. Things come from you. Maybe you're an inventor. If you do that and you're living, then we should expect inventions. Praise God. If you're a business person and you're living and you do that, we should expect what? Some businesses to come from you. We should expect something to come from you if you're living. Here's the thing. You can look like you're living and you're not producing what you said you were here to produce. But what does that look like for the church? That looks kind of like what we've been getting generation after generation after generation. What's been happening? Let's keep it real. The church is getting smaller. Why is the church getting smaller? The church is getting smaller because we don't want to acknowledge the lies that we already told under ignorance. But at the same time, as the truth comes to us, we want to ignore it and rather hold on to a lie. We suffer from what's called cognitive dissonance, but we don't want our reality torn down because we have already built up what we think is really going on. And that is the definition of being asleep and thinking you woke. Because you're walking around in a world that you have made up in your mind. You are walking in a dream and not a reality. Christ came to these individuals in this text saying, you got a name for being alive, but you're really dead. So what are you saying? If the church is here to produce more and more Christians, if the church is here to grow, then why is it shrinking? Could it be that you are really dead? We think we are alive in what we are doing, but the evidence ain't there. Jay-Z said it best, numbers don't lie, check the scoreboard. Let's check the scoreboard. Attendance going down in every church over the past 40 to 50 years. And it's going to continue to happen because we are living. At least we look like it. But we are not dealing with the real issues of the day. And one of these is the social injustices that young people are also tired of pastors and preachers getting in the pulpit, talking about how good God is, and never going outside of the walls of the church and showing this goodness and doing these things we ought to do. That's where we have to be ready to serve the community. Now it's going to be incriminating, but let's just keep it real. How many churches we got in the community? How many times can you go down the block and pass by 3 or 4 and tell me, is that community any better? How long has it been here? There may have been some things. I'm off my subject, but I'm going to do this. Watch this. We have been talking about the building of school and daycare, and every church you see will build a school, will build a daycare, and then we look back 20 years later, and you got to ask yourself, are we better for it? No, we ain't. Well, what's going to make us better? Somebody got to change gears, but we scared to change gears because we don't have our theology right on money. We walk around saying that money is the root of all evil and misquote the text and not realize that the love of money is the root of all evil. What we ought to do is learn how to use the money. So I'm saying enough of the daycare building. We finna build a business. We finna build businesses in our churches, because when you get the dollar, then you can build the right school. Then you can build the right daycare. Then you can actually get something to uplift your people. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, you still ain't woke yet. Don't walk around in your sleeping state and allow this to happen to you. What you mean, Taylor? When you sleep, you are not aware of reality. You don't know what's going on around you. You don't have a good sense of time. You ever woke up and realized, man, 3 hours went by? And you thought maybe it was 3 minutes. So we are really asleep and don't realize it. And we wake up when it really hits the fan.